Hi, Elsa, Bianca, and Tara. I'm
Hello.
here with
Hello.
Elsa Contreras, Bianca Beadling, and Tara Dozark. And they're with Mothers in Architecture, the Facebook group. I'm a member of it. It's on the great group on Facebook. And we're here to talk about mothers in architecture and kind of work from home and go over the questions and just kind of how Mothers in Architecture started. So, Elsa, do you want to start with the Mothers in Architecture story?
So we met in another group. I think Bianca created a post, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we just I don't know. I don't remember. It was so long ago.
No, we just recognized the need.
Yeah, I remember we were trying to talk about breastfeeding and taking the ARE at the same time.
Yeah.
I think I remember that discussion where it got into some biological details that we didn't really want to discuss in like a mixed gender forum. There was an issue where the Prometric and NCARB would give you a special exception for breastfeeding because, you know, if it's a really long exam, you might need to pump in the middle of it. And how do you do that? And so I found out the hard way that they give you a code that gives you this special exception number that we use to register for your exam. But when you go to do that, the time slots were not available. So you had to wait however many months to get this exception. You had to go through this letter writing and everything. And then it turns out it was worthless because then you couldn't get a time slot for your exam. So I remember talking about some things like that. So there were just the questions that came up like, okay, so how do you get through an exam when you're engorged with breast milk? And how do you how do you deal with these things? So we thought, wow, there should be a group for moms, just mothers in architecture. And so I think I might have said something like that. And then Bianca and Elsa just jumped on it and started it up. And Elsa's our millennial in charge of technology and those things.
I try.
Yes. So I think you probably were the one that actually did the technological step to make it happen.
And I can remember you did an online survey in the group because there were men that were asking to join. And then it was put out like, do you think that men should join? And the reason why I'm asking this is because our WEA group, and I can remember you asking that, posting that survey. And I can remember that recently our WEA group decided to admit men. So that's why I was kind of like wondering, what you guys, and remembering some of the things that we had talked. I know personally, I said that I thought that that we talked about a lot of things that were personal, that were only, that were women related. And so, I felt that women would open up more in a group that was just with women rather than with men there. What is your recommendation?
We put a poll out. We opened up the discussion to everybody. And overwhelmingly, the women voted they wanted to keep it a women's only group. So they could talk about things like, having to pump at work or taking the exams, or talk about maybe some discrimination they faced as women or as mothers working. So it was a resounding, keep it for women. They wanted it to be a safe space to talk about all this stuff.
And also, how do you find cute work boots that you can wear on a construction site? Exactly. Something like that. You don't want to post that. It sounds silly, but you're wearing heels and you have your length of your pants with your heels and you have to sweep into boots. How do you do that? It's nice to be able to ask that in a private space.
Yeah, we wanted to keep have subjects that would men or people who are not in our position, like they'll find it irrelevant, like pumping or, just our monthly cycles. Like, how do you deal with that when you're on a job site? If you're there 8 hours a day surrounded by men, like, how do you deal with stuff like that? So we just wanted to make it easy and, just have everybody open up and, just let it all out.
Yeah.
We also weren't comfortable about that choice. And so that's why we did the poll, because we were all kind of leaning towards accepting men, because we have a lot of really supportive men in our lives, obviously, or we wouldn't be able to do what we do. But so we put the poll out, and we were a little bit surprised by the results, but we supported what our members wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's fun. It's funny, I would used to give the architecture exam, and granted, it's like every time I gave it, that it would be like that time of the month. And so after everybody would leave, right? And because I'm older and a heavy not anymore, but yeah, I'd have to go into the bathroom like in between each time, right? So it's like, you're walking in and, I mean, it's you feel strange. I mean, you're like, okay, here I go, and I can just remember that they're probably like, why does she keep walking into the bathroom with her purse or whatever every single time that we're done with an exam? She needs to go into the bathroom with her purse, and we have that weird. Did you do the CSE with the interview, Elsa?
No, I'm still testing.
Okay. Well, they'd be in a hotel room for one thing. So I don't know whether you guys have heard that before about the California supplemental exam is given in a hotel room. So it used to be, now it's not an oral exam, it's all online. But anyway, we used to be in a hotel room and you'd have the living room part in there, and then you'd have the bedroom in the back. And so, and they were people's rooms. So it's like people would get out early. I never said, and they would say, oh, who wants to give up their room for an exam room? And I'm like, no, because you had to get out at like 7:00 in the morning. You had to be out of your room so that they could clean it and get it ready, right? Because they don't want a messed up bed in the back with all such things. So it was in a hotel room, which was weird anyway. And then people would come in, and then typically, if there was a woman candidate, there would be one of the people on the panel would be a woman. So when I would walk into the room, they would be like, oh, okay, so we're going to get all women this time. And I'm like, yeah. So,
imagine that today.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, that's the way it was. Yeah. So anyway, is there anything else that you wanted to say about the group as far as can people still join the group and be admitted?
Yeah, we just asked that the people felt the questions. We have, when somebody applies or will request to join, we have a couple of questions just to help us make sure that people are a good fit for the group, that they're women and, moms and in the industry. Because a lot of people will try to join that are clearly not, part of the group. So yeah, it helps. It saves us a lot of effort if people fill out the questions first.
I know I've had people before. I mean, not in architecture, even though I have had people like comment on my blog saying, well, I take care of my kids, but they're a guy. And I'm like, yeah, but you're a father. You're not, you're still not a mother. You're still not a mother.
Yeah.
Or I had somebody on Facebook, like somebody from high school was saying, was talking about how well, I took care of my kids, and he wanted recognition on Mother's Day. And I'm like, you were still a dad. You just took care of your kids. You have Father's Day.
Well, we do say that, we're welcoming to anyone who identifies as a mother. So
yes.
If someone wants to say that they identify as a mother, if they're a man, then they'll be accepted. I don't know that, we need to define what transgender means, or maybe, that they want to say they feel.
But just fill out the questions. Answer the questions.
Ask us, plead your case, and we'll take it on a case-by-case basis. We know that our members voted not to have men, but we do say that we're open to anyone who identifies as a mother. So whatever that means to you is open on the table. If you're an aspiring mother, or feel like a mother half the time, or you're mothering people in whatever way, that's all on the table and open for invitation. So
okay, so I'm going to go through Elsa first, and then Bianca, and then Tara, so that people can know who's answering the question. Elsa Contreras attended California State University, Fresno, and received a BA in interior design with a minor in construction management. She is also a graduate from California State University, Northridge, and received an MS in Family Consumer Sciences interior design option. She is currently pursuing a license in architecture, alternative path to licensure, and NCIDQ certificate. In the past, she has taught building codes at her local community college and currently works as a project designer overseeing projects from schematic design to project closeout. She is a past associate director on the board of directors of the AIA Golden Empire chapter. So welcome, Elsa. So how many kids do you have?
I have 2 boys. My oldest is 5, and then I have a 2-year-old. So my hands are full.
And how have you been managing the work from home and childcare? And
so right now I'm working.
Yeah.
So right now we are back at the office. You know, our boss just called us back in. But when I was working from home, I depended a lot on my mom. She took care of them, even though I was working here at home. There was no way I was able to manage the workload and take care of a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and pre-K distance learning. It was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I have a really good tribe supporting me. If it wasn't for them, I don't know what I would go insane. So yeah.
Bianca Beadling. Bianca is an architect. Yeah, Beadling. I think I misspelled it in the
No, it's tricky. Everybody says it wrong. It's just a tricky name.
Bumblebee. That's what I remember, because I'm remembering like an LCG and like I know people's Instagram handles. So Bianca is an architect and business owner with 2 young children. She has worked on a variety of project types, including mid and high-rise buildings, mixed use, commercial, and hospitality. With a passion for supporting her peers, Bianca is a licensing advisor for NCARB and co-founder of Mothers in Architecture, a support community for moms in the AEC industry. So what would you like to say about your children and work from home?
Yeah, I have 2 kids as well. They're a little bit older. They're 7 and 10, and they both did school from home this year. And it's been challenging because, you know, just getting used to the technology and making sure they're not going, you know, especially my son, who's a little bit older, making sure he's you know, sticking with school and not, you know, Skyping his friends or, you know, playing Minecraft. He's figured everything out already. So he needs a lot of attention. And work has been challenging. You know, I got licensed last year. I started off the year working at a firm, and they really put the pressure on to get back into the office, and it just wasn't possible for me because my kids were home, and you know, it was back in April. I ended up putting in my notice and just deciding to start my own firm to see how it goes. It was I guess the push I needed.
Yeah, that's great. Tara? Tara Wood Dozark is a licensed architect in St. Petersburg, Florida, who has worked in the profession for over 20 years. She is a mother of 3 children, ages 5, 8, and 20, and she teaches design architecture as an adjunct professor at the School of Architecture and Community Design at the University of South Florida in Tampa. Hi, Tara.
Yeah, so I gave you a little brief bio. I didn't include my education, which I studied philosophy and studio art at the University of Vermont as an undergrad, and I did my master's in architecture at University of South Florida, which is where I teach now. And so, yeah, the pandemic has been interesting. It was kind of perfect timing for me because I was teaching design studio, and we had just wrapped up a lot of our, we did a trip to Washington, D.C., Montgomery, Alabama, and Atlanta, Georgia, because we were designing a museum for the local African American History Museum. They're going to do a new building. So we had just finished our trip. And then a week later, we were locked down in COVID. We had just gotten to the design phase in our project where everything was going to start to move into digital modeling. And we would have done physical modeling, but it was okay. We just switched to digital and we went straight into Zoom teaching, which, having a bunch of tech savvy graduate students, it was a breeze because they figured it all out. And I just hopped online and guided them through the rest of the design process. So that was fun and interesting. And, it was 14 days to flatten the curve. I thought that would be it, the end of the semester. And then the next semester would be in person. So we did the following semester online. It was a little bit more challenging, but we mixed in some field trips. My kids learned how to be quiet and they watched a lot of television while I was teaching. But it's good to get back out in the world now. Summer is going to be online and fall it's undecided right now if we're going to be online or in person or hybrid.
For college, right? For your
it's graduate school.
Teaching. Okay.
Yeah, for teaching. My kids are in person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and as far as practicing, I keep turning down projects left and right because it's too overwhelming to try to draft and design and manage projects right now for me. I have one or two small things, but you need that continuous block of concentration. And working from home has never been ideal to me because there's just too much other work at home. There's laundry and cleaning and people showing up at the door and, repairs and things like that. So now, I've been turning down and avoiding.
That's pretty much been my life. Like, I did have, when I started my practice 27 years ago, I did have an office space. I had a studio space in Venice Beach, but then after our son was born 4 years later, I gave it up because they doubled the rent and everything. And I wasn't spending that much time in the office space. So it just kind of, and I would meet with people, doing custom residential, you're meeting with people in their house anyway. So I moved back into the thing. And then, when we bought the house 20 years ago, it was just like staying in. And the thing is people are like, oh, okay, you've always worked from home. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't have everybody here all the time. When everybody's here, when the kids are even in college, and they're still all Zooming, in the house. And, it's a lot. It is, your concentration is, and I'm back to like working, at night again, right? Because that's the only time when you're kind of focused, it's quiet. And, you can just really like focus and just do the work. And, of course, then you're staying up till 2:00 in the morning again, which is what I did when I was younger and said that I wouldn't be doing after 50, and I'm doing it again.
I was going to ask how that impacts your sleep.
Well, I'll sleep, I can sleep in till like 8 the next morning, but yeah. And then I can go back. I've always been good about sleeping, but, I will go on these things where I'm getting like 4 to 5 hours. I'm not a pleasant person to be around when that happens, but guaranteed. Like you just, you do what you have to do, but it's, it's not an ideal situation all the time, So Elsa, I'll start with you. What are your first recollections of experiencing architecture?
My first recollections. Oh my goodness. I don't know.
So did you see the questions?
I did. I saw the questions. Yeah. I'll come back to you on that.
Oh, okay. Bianca, do you want to answer it?
Yeah, for me, it was just the the homes of my friends and family, more the whimsical features of the house. Like I remember sparkly ceilings at my grandma's house and the spiral staircases. And, it was a very modest home, but it just had some fun features that as a kid you love to play in. I guess that's my first recollection of architecture.
Tara, what about you? Tara?
I grew up a stone's throw from New York City, so I could see the New York skyline, from the street that I grew up on. And so that was always fun. My father was an artist, and we would go into Manhattan and go to museums every weekend. So I had a lot of love of the built environment from those experiences. But when you said, what's your first recollection, I was thinking about the time my parents got the carpets cleaned. I was probably about 2 years old. And I came down the stairs and I saw they had a pair of Wassley chairs. And they had them stacked at the bottom of the staircase. And you had to walk on like the paper that they put down over the carpet. And I just remember like getting really excited about how different things were when you had to suddenly walk on this pathway, and then these chairs that I knew that were always in this one place were suddenly like stacked on top of each other. So I just think about that in relation to like New York City kind of outside in the background and possibilities that presented to my little brain.
Elsa,
Okay, so yeah. Sorry. So my first, I don't really have like a first recollection. I was always interested in the built environment. I got into architecture when I was in high school. I knew what I wanted to do. I already had a plan. And after I got married, when I moved out, I was cleaning out my room and I found that plan that I did back in my sophomore year, I think. And it says, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I put it down, like, I want to be an architect. I want to be an interior designer. This is what I want to do. So, I saw that and I almost cried because I'm like, here I am, 7 exams away from becoming a licensed architect. So that was pretty nice. Growing up, my mom used to sell home interiors, like interior, like decoration. Like she was a consultant, and she would take me along with her. And she would have me do these setups, just little mini set designs so people can, look and see. And she had me do arrangements. So I think that's where I started practicing my little, just eyeballing this, organizing, forms and functions and stuff like that. I don't know. Composition, yes. So, yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah. What are 3 classic buildings that you like and why, Bianca?
For me, it's always about the way that it integrates with nature around. So I really like Falling Water, the Farnsworth House, and I don't know. Oh gosh, I can't forget the name. Villa Rotunda.
Oh, okay.
We went there for school once, and it was amazing just to walk up the path to get there, and it's on a beautiful site. It was just to experience it as it's related to nature. I don't know. I really like the combination.
Okay, Tara.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure what you meant by classic, but I'm just going to go with.
Oh yeah, I know it's classic as far as like people would know what it was.
So my first thought was the Thermavals in Val, Switzerland, because it engages all of the senses, and it's a place where you can go and just relax and just absorb everything. And they have rooms that have smells to them, like a special smell with rose petals floating in the water. And then there are other rooms that are just like echo chambers where you can just hum a little note and it'll just echo through this big, tall space, and you can swim from inside to outside. And it's so immersive and creates such a visceral, like, whole body, all your senses kind of a memory of it. And also you can relax and look at all the architectural details and not be annoyed by any of them, which is a hard thing to do in any other spa that I've been to, where you're trying to relax and you're like, they really should have lined up that tile with this edge. And so it's the one spa I've been to that I could actually relax as an architect.
So you've been there, right?
I have been there, yes.
Yeah, I haven't been there, but Marilyn Modinger, when I interviewed her, she also was there, and she was going to talk. And I was saying, every time I see the photos, I said, I just think that it like looks so cold. And she said it isn't cold, but I just said, yeah. And I said, I mean, I'm very intrigued by the architecture, but every time I look at it, I just like wonder how cold it's going to be. But I guess it's really steamy, right?
Yeah.
Or you can't swim outside where it is cold.
Temperatures of I went in June, so it was just absolutely very comfortable. Everything was comfortable. So I like these architectural pilgrimages. So from that one, I went from there to the Chapel Ronchamp, which is another favorite space where it takes a while to get there, and you're really feeling very much out in nature, and then you kind of come up on this little hill. And I went before the addition that was done to the site. So it was just kind of is what it was back then. I haven't seen it yet. The Renzo Piano did like a separate building, which looked amazing. And they had the drawings up when I was there, but it wasn't built yet. But it engages all of your senses with the sound, and the way that the sound kind of moves through the space, and the light, and the changing light, and the approach, and the smells of everything around, that it all just kind of sinks into your memory. And the same thing with the Salk Institute in La Jolla, California, which, if you're Californians, you've probably been there.
Yes. So I sneak on all the time. I just walk on, and they.
Oh, are you not supposed to do that?
No,
that's what I do. Oh my gosh! Well, I brought my 6-year-old, and we just walked right on. And
what I did? When they were super. I actually, the last time I was there, it was during COVID when they first shut down. So they had all the black vans up because the mines were there. So it's like they had the parking lot that was across the street had all these big black vans because they had brought in all the scientists. But I was just sitting there, and I wanted to see how long I could stay there before they kicked me off. And
oh my God.
Finally security came out, and then that's that one picture of me on Instagram where I have the mask on my face, and then you can see the fountain is like right behind here, and I took a selfie there.
So I'm even more excited now to dig up the pictures. I took of my son there playing in the fountain, and there was nobody around, and we were just enjoying the space, and we saw people like hang gliding around, and we went and we had lunch in the cafe, and we sat down with a neuroscientist and
across the street. The street, or at the?
No, it was right down inside.
Oh, okay.
Right, you go down the fountain, and there was a
we're all the
cafeteria. So my son's 20. Yeah. He's 20 and he works in a neuroscience lab now. So he wants to be a brain surgeon. So it might have impacted him somewhat. But that's another one of those places that I can mentally just put myself there. Like my whole body, my whole self was present when I was there. And it was because of the architecture. Yeah. So all three of those places, I could just completely close my eyes and be there. So
yeah. Yeah, we actually had the AIA Design Awards. The San Diego AIA Design Awards was held I think only once, but the problem is it's really hard to get people to come back into the building because everybody was out in the plaza and they didn't want to come in for the awards. But because they're just all out in the plaza. But the only time I've ever taken a tour there, and they don't let you into the building there, even for the tour. Yeah, was with Bob Borson, and I went on a tour of there, and that was the first time that I'd ever taken the tour because he wanted to go on the tour. And then of course, it's like he listens to the docent and everything. And, he doesn't say who he is or anything. But then, of course, he like mentions all this stuff in his blog. But he doesn't tell anybody who he is when we're at the place. But so Elsa.
Yes. So I would go with Falling Water as well. I appreciate how that built environment works with nature. I haven't been there yet. I hope to go there soon, but I just feel like there was a lot of considerations to nature when, as that was getting built. So that's one. Surprisingly, one of my favorite design styles is brutalism. I really like the concrete, I like the feel of it, how concrete works, and when it ages, the characteristics that it picks up. So yeah.
And then do you have a second or third one?
A second or third one.
You don't have to give one. You could have one or two, or some people have said like no one and then that's it. They don't want to give another one because they're afraid that it'll be like too trendy and then they'll look back. I'm like, I don't know whether this blog is going to be around that long. Where people would be.
Yeah. So the second one, La Sagrada Familia in Spain. Mm-hmm. I'm very intrigued by all like the detail work, just the detail that went into that. And it's probably still in the construction, not sure, but I really do appreciate the work. And my goodness, I cannot imagine drafting that thing. Oh my gosh. Like,
I saw it. Somebody was telling, one of my friends I interviewed, Craig Schmidt, he had seen it when it, like, I don't know, a couple of years ago or whatever. But I said, like, yeah, the last time that I saw it was when I was in school in Denmark, which it was, and then we went to Spain, and it was in 1987. And then and all of the towers weren't done, and you couldn't go on to the site at all at that point. You just kind of had to see it from afar and just like kind of, walk around the exterior of it. But yeah. And Falling Water, it's okay. Elsa, I grew up in Pittsburgh and I never went to Falling Water until I went back for somebody's wedding in like 1995. So I left it. I had never seen it the entire time. Like I was kind of a city girl. I would go into the city, but, Falling Water is outside of the city in another direction from where it's still like 45 minutes outside of the city, which 45 minutes outside of the city in Pittsburgh, like you can be in West Virginia at that point. So, or Ohio, right? You're like in a totally different state. But I didn't go until we went back there, and we'd taken a road trip with our 1-year-old. And she wasn't allowed. I don't know whether they allow kids now in there, but she wasn't allowed in there. But they had this whole like daycare center set up for kids, and she was the only kid there, so she had a good time. So it's right there. And then, did you want to give a third one or not?
I think those are the two that I'm really intrigued and that I really like.
Okay, so Bianca, what do you like about being an architect?
I wanted to say I also lived in Pittsburgh for a little bit, so that's a
really?
Yeah.
Did you grow up there?
Not Lebanon. No, I grew up in Akron.
I'm from Dormont.
So,
did you know that?
Wow, yeah. No, I didn't know that. We would have been so close to each other. It was like two T stops away.
Yeah, but I mean, you would be my kid. But yeah. What year were you there?
In 2006. Yeah, we left in 2006 after the recession.
So I left in, my family had already moved out here a year before I graduated. So I moved out here, and then I went back for my senior year of high school. But, I'm older. So that was 1981 when they moved out to California. And then I moved out with them and then went back, went to high school and, back in Pittsburgh and then went back, to Keystone Oaks. Keystone Oaks High School is where I went to school. Yeah. Yeah. But I was born in St. Clair Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. They're right next, like Dormont and Mount Lebanon are right next to each other, literally.
Yes. Yeah. I would always go by on the T stop to go on the T. Is it called the T? I can't remember. It was called the T, but to get downtown to work. But
the trolley.
I actually left in 2009. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah. So what I like about being an architect, well, I like working with families, and I like to be able to, kind of touch their daily lives and make their day go a little bit easier with, maybe as a mom, what I can bring to the table. And if I can help another mom's day go by a little bit easier because of the way things are designed in her home, it just means a lot to me to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simple, but that's what I
No, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Tara, what do you like about being an architect?
So I love being able to make people's dreams come true and make it into a reality. And I really like creating spaces that can foster shared visceral experiences for people and foster connection between people. And I think this can happen at the scale of an urban environment, and it can happen at the scale of a home. So I've worked on a lot of like large scale kind of community projects, like community centers, school buildings, and then we recently just renovated our house. And so I just enrolled my daughter at the school where I designed their life center, which involves the gymnasium, the middle school classrooms, and a big courtyard that connects the old building to the new building where they have a flag ceremony. And it also has like a lunch courtyard that's adjacent to a playground. And it's really exciting to see the kids interact in that space. Looking forward to seeing more of it after COVID and when I'm really allowed to spend more time there. But then also just, finally having people over in the house and seeing how we occupy, someone's in the kitchen cooking, and where we used to be divided up into separate little areas. And now there's all this interaction that happens because of the way that we changed the floor plan. So that's my favorite thing, is seeing how the built environment can impact the way people interact with each other and can create more shared experiences together. That's the funnest thing.
We always, the kid's dad did a lot of school buildings, and one of the ones that he did was in the Claremont colleges. And I said to my daughter, would you please apply to the Claremont colleges? And then wouldn't it be cool to be in a college building where you, on a college where your dad's like designed one of the projects, one of the buildings on the campus, and she was like, well, they don't have my major there, right? They had, because it was social work. They didn't have social work there. And I said, well, maybe you could get your master's. Just go for your undergraduate here and get your master's. But she did go to school on a campus where her godmother, who is Wendy Rogers, who is now the CEO of LPA, they designed a building on the campus. So she did go to a campus where they actually were, where she had some, but I don't know whether she ever went into that building or not. And I don't think she ever told people like, oh, my godmother designed this building.
Yeah, I feel a little weird like when my daughter will say that. So I'm like, I don't want her to be that kid. But there are a lot of things I've designed around town that it's fun. The kids play. I designed a rock climbing gym where my son's best friend works there now. And the kids
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of, and we did recently, the city just redesigned our whole pier, which is this huge urban environment. I've worked on so many iterations of that pier. I didn't actually work on the final version of it, which is actually nice because I can enjoy it more because I'm not nitpicking all the little details or having memories of all of the conflicts with the contractor. So that space I enjoy even more because all of my colleagues and close, friends and colleagues worked on it, that, all the people that designed it are people that I know. So I'm so happy and excited for them, but I get to enjoy it without all the stressful memories. So that's nice too.
I think you get over it after a while. I don't know. I think it takes about 10 years though, I think. But yeah, and I don't know, maybe 5. My
kids will grow out of the playground by then.
Yeah. So what do you like about being an architect, Elsa?
Well, I'm not an architect yet. I'm working on it.
I know. What is it now? It's not architect in training, or what is the new thing? It's
I don't know, like project designer, or I don't even think we can use architect in training in California. Just
okay.
Because,
what is
something
it called?
like that.
What do they call it? I forget. And it's not an intern anymore, right?
No, it's not intern. What is project designer, design associate?
Okay.
Yeah, one of those two. Well, what I like about the career in the industry is the end results. We are one of the few careers or the few jobs where we actually get to see what we do, and all the work that we put in, all the stress and tears. I like driving around town and pointing out and telling my boys like, hey, mommy worked on that. Mommy worked on this job. Some of them made it to TV and commercials. So that's nice. I also like the connection that the built environment has with people, how it affects behaviors. It affects how we react, or, it really has a deep, buildings do have a really deep effect to people and, our, how we do things. So, that's one of the things that I really do appreciate about architecture and design, interiors as well. So, yeah.
Okay, Bianca, what would you like to say about the future of architecture?
I think it's all about mentoring. We need to have good mentors and people willing to invest in the future architects. I think that's probably in my opinion, one of the most important things that's really going to shape the future of architecture is how much we give back to the up and comers.
Tara, what would you like to say about the future of architecture?
I had to say I'm really concerned about the future of architecture for a lot of reasons. It's hard to even narrow them down, but one reason I'm concerned is the lack of diversity in our profession. I think it impacts the way that we design. It impacts, you're not as good at solving problems if you don't have a diverse team looking at the problem. And we've been working really hard on increasing diversity, and now COVID has sent a lot of women out of the profession. And that's concerning. Women, and especially mothers, use spaces in different ways than other people. So understanding, we all know about ADA ramps and having to put them in places, but think about being a mom pushing a stroller, carrying a toddler. Think about little things that are dangerous for kids, or things like that. And that's just one example that I can identify with, because being a mom of 3, it's been part of my life for most of my life. So, I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned about the degradation of our profession by shows like on HGTV, where they just tear apart walls and knock on a wall and decide that that's not structural and take it down, and show things at a really accelerated pace, and show things at a really low cost, and just screw up the expectations of clients when they come to us. And They whip up a 3D model in 10 minutes with the laptop in their hip. And I don't think that we're pushing back against that enough. And I think it's a really serious problem that I hope that we can address. And that's why I pay my AIA dues, because I want to have an advocate. I know some people complain about the AIA, but it's the only advocate we have right now for our profession, only lobbying force. So, two concerns about the future.
Yeah, I mean,
but
that's hard. I mean, and it's, it's like I do custom residential, so it's like it's constant that people, it's like they kind of. I mean, I was just at somebody's, and I don't, they're living in a spec house that I had. I don't know whether they're going to listen to this or not, but they're living in a spec house that I designed, and then now they want me to do an accessory dwelling unit that is underneath, and so the husband wanted. He goes, well, I want to have a speakeasy, like under the house. And right, because you're on a hillside. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, oh yeah, I want to go down these stairs, and I want to like that. And I said, well, stairs don't fit. They don't fit in this closet. He said, well, I saw it on HGTV. And I said, stop watching HGTV. I said, they do. I said, they do not. And he goes, oh, so I shouldn't watch the Property Brothers? And I'll flat out tell the Property Brothers. I said, no. I said, one of the people that we know is in Indiana and they get shut down all the time. And I said, that is not on the show. I said, they do things without a permit. They do things that you can't do, but they're trying to like do it. And, and I said, we just can't do that. I said, you can't have a hatch in your closet to go down to like a space underneath with no windows or doors down there. I mean, I said, you can have a storage space. I said, getting in through the door on the outside. I said, but no, and so, I mean,
they actually show that on
what?
On HGTV? Did they actually show something like that on HGTV?
Apparently. So
I can't watch. The only time I watch it.
Because I don't do it right. So this person is in the medical profession, and I said, okay. And I said, let's look at like a medical show. I said, are we like doing surgery based? Everybody that sees a medical show, right? One of our friends was getting a kidney from her son, and the doctor told her, okay, we're going to do it this way. And so like she's talking to one of her friends, and her friend is like, oh, well, are you, and she's describing like how they're going to do it. And then, the friend is like, are you sure that they're going to do it that way? And she goes, well, what do you mean? That's what the doctor said. She goes, oh, but I saw on like, on Grey's Anatomy that they did it this other way. And, she's like, I think I'm going to trust the doctor, I mean,
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know.
When I see my students, though, I'm hopeful. I don't want to be all negative about the future of architecture. My students are incredible. They are so creative and so passionate, and they come from such a diverse set of backgrounds. That's the thing I love about University of South Florida. We get students from all over the world, and I learn so much from them every semester when I teach them. And they're responsible and ethical and diligent and diverse and driven. So they're the hope for the future.
That's great. Okay, Elsa, what would you like to say about the future of architecture?
Well, we need more mentors. We depend on all of our previous architects to lift us, help us get there, help us get to the finish line. We need more mom mentors, because unfortunately with COVID, I mean, we lost a lot of moms. They had to step out of the workforce, and if they're surrounded by people who are not encouraging them, who are not promoting, or nothing that's going to inspire them, they're not going to want to come back. They're already overwhelmed and stretched thin. I'm lucky enough that I have a good group behind me, my family, my husband, friends, but not everyone's that lucky. Yeah. So we just need more mentors, more, people to just lift each other up. So,
yeah.
If I could follow up to that. I just wanted to say, I 100% agree. It was the same after the recession. We lost a lot of moms. A lot of women, especially like our age, stopped for, they stopped working to start their families. And then if you stay home, with your kids, you could be out for a chunk of time. I was out for, like 9 years. And that's kind of also part of what helped what brought us together, the three of us together, is because I was asking, is there any possibility that I could get back into this field after being out for so long? And they both were like, absolutely, just let's talk about it. And, and I feel like that's another thing that our group does for other moms and other women in the industry, is that there's mentorship built into that group. And I feel like I've been raised by that group because I've been encouraged to get back into the field. I've had help with studying and, people encouraging me with the exams, and even this right now, getting into trying to do my own business. There's people every step of the way from that group that have helped me get to where I am right now.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
very grateful.
And especially like during COVID, because we've, our WEA group said, okay, we need mentors. And I said, well, I really feel like right now I can just mentor people through Mothers in Architecture and other social media things. I said, because I can't have people in my house. I can't, I don't have the time to like run my practice and try to do all of that thing and like be, mentoring people. I mean, it's like you can only stretch yourself so thin, and then there are other, women architects in town where, it's like they're so busy running their practice that they just can't mentor people all the time. So if there's social media, to be able to do that, then that's a way that we can, go on when we want. We can make a comment about things. People can read, review that. And so again, it's on your own time, just like you're running your own practice, right? Which you're on your own time, right? So, I mean, I think that's kind of like the, being able to have your own schedule. I mean, and be able to raise your kids and run a practice or work, it's like I know that, firms will say, oh, we can't have people that are going to have their own schedule. We can't have people that are just going to be working whenever they want to or whatever. Are they going to get the work done? And I think, in some ways, I mean, COVID, it's like, right, everybody did have to work from home immediately, but, let's also see that, women aren't pushed back into the office, and they can still, do work from home, and like, let's not exile them from the industry. I mean, I know like 27 years ago when I did that, there wasn't anybody. I mean, there were a lot of practices that had, husband-wife teams, and the kids would be in the office. Like we were on the West Side in LA, there were a lot of people where their kids would be in the office at the same, time as they were working, I mean, but, but there were people that, it's like they went into the building department and, with their kid, and they were frowned upon, I mean, now you go into the building department and, it's like there's contractors in there with their kids, so hopefully, the more like the division of, parenting and working, I think the more that it becomes equal, it's like, it's probably going to promote women to be able to, to be back in the workforce. And I don't know. I mean, this whole thing about like a gap in, I don't know, a gap in time, like, oh, they were out of the workforce for 5 years. They were out of the workforce for 9 years. I mean, that's why I've always said, like, let's, work, even if you can work part-time working for somebody and you can do consulting work, then you can still kind of stay in the field. And then, and it's not going to make that big of a difference of whether you're working part-time or full-time during those 5 to 10 years or, 15 years, if you're still, staying on top of things, doing your own projects. And there are other skills that you learn as a mother that are, that you can use, to manage the office, right? I mean, and to be able to be in the profession. So
and to manage the contractors.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, childhood skills, child raising skills. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I know it gets into the whole thing of other maybe bigger firms, and I mean, I know. I mean, I have friends that, that, they have a large practice or they've done things a certain way. But I think what you need to learn is everybody, you come from diverse backgrounds. Everybody doesn't have, the access to childcare that a lot of people, do. I mean, like, I have friends, they got out of school like when they were, they went to architecture school around 40. They had their first at 40, their second at 42 years old, and they, I mean, you're 40 something years old and all of your salary is going to childcare. I mean, you're making, one of my friends is laughing. She was in Boston. She's like, yeah, I think when we worked it out, I think I was making like $25 or $50 a week after childcare for 2 kids from her salary. But she wanted, because she'd gotten into the profession late, she wanted to work and be able to put in her time. But,
I think another hard thing, if you have your kids later and you're at management level, it's hard. I found it harder to balance. Being at a lower level, it's easy to work part-time. It's easy to come and go. But when you're managing a project and managing a team, it's a lot harder to leave at 3 p.m. and say, hey, you stay here till 9 or 10 or 11 or 12 and finish this project. I'm going home. It's just not comfortable, even if you could negotiate it. So for me right now, teaching and doing small projects on the side is nice, even though I prefer doing large civic kind of projects. It's just not the season for that. And I think work-life balance is not just about your work-life balance each day. It's over years. So you may have years where your nose is to the grindstone, working around the clock, not, hardly sleeping and producing like crazy. And then you might have years where you're taking care of your health or your family or something else. And it's over time, it'll all kind of work out to a balance.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do, did you get my email about the Mother's Day gifts?
I got it. I have to read it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess the first thing was that you don't, if there's anything that you don't want as a mother for Mother's Day. Like, what are these
appliances?
things?
Don't get me a sweeper. No sweeper. No dishwasher. No.
And anything that's gonna make me work. Yeah.
I don't want candy or junk food or anything like that. So I'm just since COVID, I've just been all about on this health kick, like trying to eat more clean and exercise and make sure I'm strong and healthy and have a good immune system. So I don't want sugar.
I gave up sugar for Lent, and I've kind of, I've gone back. I need a little bit of sugar because otherwise,
I love it. I love it, but I don't want it for Mother's Day.
I need chocolate every once in a while. That's what's going to get me through. And then, so I put like no self-improvement books or anything else, like self-improvement items. Even if you ask for them, don't buy your wife any self-improvement things.
I'm already a hot mess. I don't need a book telling me that I need to improve. No, I don't need that.
And I said, no, I mean, I can remember, I was like laughing about like no weights, gym membership, like Fitbit, or, like waxing gift certificates are no. So, and
spa day would be okay.
A spa day, exactly.
That would be nice.
Yeah. And then make sure that you're there to like watch the kids while you're going to the spa. So it's like making the childcare arrangements while you're going so that you can go to the spa. Or underwear or clothes that they didn't ask for is what I put down. It's like
yeah.
And let's see. Oh, I got a KitchenAid mixer one year, and I'll tell you, I can't remember whether it was for Mother's Day or not, but I had this whole conversation, and my brother's wife was there, and I had said that I did not want a KitchenAid mixer. That was specifically, I said, I do not need a $200 mixer. That's what I specifically said. So all of a sudden,
It sounds like you mean it.
I
don't need it, but
I think the only thing that he heard was KitchenAid mixer. Probably. So I got this KitchenAid mixer, which then my brother's wife was like, she wanted a KitchenAid mixer. So then she was like complaining because she didn't get a KitchenAid mixer, but her dad bought her a way better one than the one that I got. She got like the Pro, and I had just got I got the 200 one. She got like the $300 or $400 one. But I was like, I never asked for it. I said I did not want a KitchenAid mixer. So anyway,
anything that's gonna keep me in the kitchen, I don't want for Mother's Day. How about that? Or in the laundry room.
But yeah, or in the laundry room. You know what? Do people? I mean,
keep me out of them.
Anybody that does custom residential, do you guys know like what this big fascination is with laundry rooms now?
I used to have a picture of a beautiful laundry room pinned up in my first architecture job because it was my dream to have a nice laundry room. So I don't know what you're hearing, but I get it, whatever it is.
I went to see these people. They had remodeled the entire interior of their house, and they wanted me to come in and do the exterior. And I said, of course I walked around and I'm like, wow, I wish you would have hired me for the interior. But it was just the two of them, and they had 2 washers and 2 dryers, which I was like laughing because I said, you know what? I've only seen this on one other project that I've ever worked on. And I said, that was this like big vacation home in Telluride where they would be washing their ski clothes. So they needed 2 washers and 2 dryers. She said, well, I can get all the laundry done in like just a few hours. And I'm like, how much laundry do you have? There's only the 2 of you, like their daughter was.
I get that.
What?
I get that, because when if you're working a lot all week and you only have, Saturday and Sunday to get the laundry done, just get it done all at once.
I know. Or, some people are having somebody else do it for them. Yeah.
Right. Because the thing, if you can afford the 2 washer, 2 dryer laundry room, you probably can afford someone to do your laundry for you. So
oh, where did Elsa go?
Uh-oh.
Okay, well, she'll come back on. So anyway, so any other, I put, did you see any of the books or anything? I had the book, In the Company of Women by Grace Bonney, and she liked my tag on Twitter. Anyway, it's a book about, and it was done like in 2010, but it's a book, inspiration and advice from over 100 makers, artists, and entrepreneurs. And Maya Lin is in there. Roxanne Gay, who's an author, she was on the Context and Clarity. And then Debbie Millman, who's her wife, who's a graphic designer and podcaster of Design Matters.
Design Matters,
yeah. So she's in there too. Then there's another book, Justine Bateman, which is called 1 Square Foot of Skin, and it's about plastic surgery, about how women shouldn't be getting plastic surgery, but it's like, so it's become such the norm for like people to get it, especially in her industry, and just about how just the being a woman. And clothes. So I said, only buy clothes for your mother if she has specifically asked for them and tried them on. Everyone might be a little bit bigger than they were and might not appreciate finding that out on Mother's Day. And let's see, other stuff. And then there's a Victoria's Secret Mother's Day campaign.
Hmm.
Do you guys have, oh, here, okay, hold on. There. Okay. There's a Mother's Day campaign with the Victoria's Secret where they have one of the pregnant models. Of course, they're still a pregnant supermodel, which still looks way
I
better.
look just like that. No,
Exactly. That's what I'm
didn't
saying.
waddle or have cankles at all.
I went there for nursing bras when I was pregnant, and the girl, she was maybe 17. She had no idea what a nursing bra was. It was.
Do they have
Had to
nursing
leave.
bras?
No.
Did they have?
Well, they
nursing
didn't
bras?
when I was.
Do they
not
have
when I
them
was
now?
pregnant.
Do they have them
I
now?
don't know.
They
I
should.
don't know.
They should.
If they're advertising that, then they definitely should.
I don't know. Maybe that's a nursing bra. That might be a nursing bra. I don't
Maybe.
know. That one's a nursing bra.
That's not a realistic look. That's not.
That's
oh,
not.
Yeah, that's no. Sorry.
So that's what I mean, that they're all supermodels pregnant. So,
I didn't have ankles during my pregnancies.
I never got them back. They were stolen from me.
but I think it was it was nice that they attempted. I don't know whether I mean, it is just pretty much all kind of mom looking stuff. I don't know whether I would want, it's the typical, kind of, I don't know, kind of like flowery stuff or whatever. I did get, and I'm putting this down because they're chevron, and I thought that they're like Frank Lloyd Wright inspired chevron bra, and they have like little waist, right? It like came in a package like this. This is the pair of underwear, which it's actually large. It just comes in a very like small package. So they're kind of minimal waist. And then what was it? Like perfume, but only perfume that you want, that you've used before, like nothing new. And of course, like sketchbooks and watercolors. Which, Bianca, were we
gadgets for me? I like gadgets.
Gadgets? Okay, there you go. Gadgets. Yeah. Like what kind of gadgets?
Like a watch, like a smartwatch, or these wireless headphones, stuff like that. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want an Aura ring back on my.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
What is that?
It like tracks your body stuff, like your heart rate, your sleep. It gives you like a sleep score every night. So yeah, it kind of does like what the Apple Watch does, but
yeah,
you don't have to wear an Apple Watch because those are too bulky for me.
Yeah.
I think Evan Truxell had one, but I don't know whether he still has it or whether he lost it or something. But yeah, he had an Aura ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's supposed to be pretty good. Yeah. That's on my list. Tell my husband.
Well, COVID turned me into a plant mom. So I went from having like a couple plants, and now my house looks like a jungle.
Oh, that's awesome.
So any plants, I'm good. I like plants.
And what kind do you usually get?
I like a lot of succulents. I like the bigger plants, but my 2-year-old killed my fiddle leaf fig, so I can't do big plants right now.
They're pretty hard to keep alive, aren't they?
I've
heard they're finicky. Yeah.
Yeah. It just hated me, and it didn't like my 2-year-old either. So
how did he do that?
He was just pulling on it.
Okay.
He's like, it's a tree. I'm gonna pull on this. And it just didn't like me. So yeah, I'm done with fiddles.
Okay, so is that the wrap up for, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about? Oh my gosh, you know what, the Shiros thing. I have to mention the Shiros. Yeah. The Shiros conference, which is empowering women. And I'll put it in the blog. I'll put the link and everything. But Joanne Louis is going to be in there, and Evelyn Lee, and then there's people from, there's like there's a lot of women architects from the UK, and then Sarah Collada is Lisa Raines is from England, and then Sarah Collada is actually in Berlin, and then there's an Ava, and she's in Austria. She's like working with Cope Himmelblau, and so it's a virtual conference from May 12th to the 14th. So you can register online for that.
Yeah. She invited us to speak, but none of us. Did you guys say yes or?
Yeah, I am. That's why I'm. Yeah,
I'm asking if Bianca or Elsa if they said yes.
No, I'm not a speaker.
I get very scared talking to people, like giving out speeches.
Well, this way is the perfect way because you don't really see them. I mean, you're not in front of anybody. You're just, Yeah,
it's true. I just didn't have a topic readily at hand when she asked me, and I just was busy with other things. So, but I should attend, and then maybe next year I'll think of something. But what are you going to talk about?
Motherhood and architecture.
Oh, cool.
That's a very big subject.
I know. I'm going to try to cram it into 15 minutes. I'm doing kind of organizing. Not that, I mean, it's basically, it's my way and the highway. So it's like whatever way that you've come up with to kind of, navigate motherhood and architecture, it's fine. I don't, it's like, I think that people can design their own life kind of based on it. And so I'm, of course, going back, trying to figure out like how, we can use what we've learned in school and the workplace to kind of design and organize our life based on that, kind of like with plans and and revising and plan revisions and things like that, and kind of like looking back and saying, okay, maybe I should have done this in that situation, and maybe not. In 15 minutes with graphics, with a PowerPoint, because I don't want to sit there and talk. Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I want to watch and see what you have to say. Because I felt like that was what she was asking us to talk about, but I was just not, I don't know. I feel like I'm not in the thick of practice right now. So I'd spent so many years balancing all of that, but I feel like you speaking about it would be much better. Somebody.
I mean, I think we just need to, because I am older with it, but then also, I mean, I don't, I mean, my thing with it is it's like, I'm not there to kind of give you the answer. Like, I don't have it all figured out, and I'm the first to admit, like, I don't have all, I don't have everything figured out, but that's not going to keep me from just like going forward and trying to figure things out, and just say, okay, maybe, I don't do things always it's like, of course, nobody's perfect, but that doesn't, that seems to like stop a lot of women, where it like doesn't stop men. Men will just like dive into things, and regardless of whether they're like, yeah, I'm there, I'm going to do it, and we're like, well, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do this because of this or this, and
they also don't carry that mental laundry list of all the things that you have to do with the kids. I don't think I've met a man who does. I'm sure there are some out there that do it, but it typically falls on the women where.
Yeah.
But I think,
yeah.
yeah, I feel like I'm in the center of the storm with the kids being 5 and the little ones being 5 and 8. So, but I remember when my son got to be, middle school, you could kind of breathe a little bit and reflect a little bit. I'm just not at the moment of reflection right now. So I didn't feel like I could prepare well enough to speak.
Yeah. 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 Well, I mean, it's I don't know, difficult. It's hard. Life is hard right now. What was it? One of my friend Karen Mankoff, who's a therapist, and I've interviewed her like a couple blogs back. I was like kind of asking her, like, what do you think that I should speak on, and like how, and I was kind of like giving her these different, kind of scenarios of things, and she said, well, it's like, and I was talking to her about my personal life, right, and, I mean, because we're good friends, we started out in a play group, 27 years ago with our kids, and she became a therapist. And so, she was just saying, she said, well, architecture is a hard field and motherhood is also hard, so it's like the two of them together, it makes it really complicated and, difficult. And I think it's easy to say like, oh yeah, I'm just going to ask that person for help, or I'm just going to ask for help to do this or whatever. But, it's a lot of times it's difficult to get that help. Right. I mean, especially during COVID, right. It's like, you're trying to, to find people to help, and you can't, there's nobody, you can't have people come in, to help with things. And so it's kind of really.
Those next level challenges. But,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll be able to talk about it 10 years from now.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. There's stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You have to be a little bit removed from it before you can kind of talk about that. All right. Okay. So anything else?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And we're going to post it on probably this weekend. So it'll be the weekend before, so people can, can look at that. And then feel free to give me any photos of the buildings that you wanted, or any of the gift ideas. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thanks for
night.
having us.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy
Mother's Day.
Thank you.